It's September 30th, 2004. Interviewing Ernie Blank.
I was born in Page County, Iowa. No, June 27th, 1916. My father and mother didn't go to church. We couldn't afford the gas to go from where we lived to town. And the only time I went to, we had what they call Lone Rock School out here.
Lone Rock.
And it's known in the country down there. And I'd go once in a while with my uncle to Sunday school. They didn't have any preacher, but I went mostly because they sang the song "In the Garden," my favorite. And it was just non-denominational. Yeah, I don't know where they got the literature, but they'd have little booklets. Well, my daughter was out playing in the yard once with several other people, and the pastor of the Nazarene church came by. He stopped and asked if he could pick up the other kids that was playing. Well, I said yes. Pick them up on Sunday to go to Sunday school. So my daughter started going to the Nazarene church, and then my wife went to see what was happening with the daughter, and then I got tangled up and going. And so Reverend Homer Max was the pastor then. Homer Max.
How do you Homer?
Homer. H-O-M-E-R. And
M-A-X?
M-A-X. And we was good friends with them. I know they was praying for me and going to church, and God reached down and touched me that day.
How did he touch you?
Well, I was during the trapping season, and I was out in the middle of nowhere. I was 3/4 of a mile from any house. The car wouldn't start, and I just got so aggravated, I just knelt down there and prayed. First time I'd ever prayed, really. And I felt the Lord come upon me. I went, after I got through praying, I went out and took the crank and pulled up on it, and it just started off easy. And I went off singing church songs that I don't even remember ever singing before. That was back in as near as I can figure, 1948. My only church affiliation was the Nazarene Church. Yeah. My life changed entirely. I quit drinking, I quit smoking, and I was post office at that time, went to the superintendent of mails and says, if there's any way, I'd like Sunday off so I can teach a Sunday school class. And so within a couple of months, I changed jobs where I didn't have to work on Sunday, except I had to clean the canceling machine. I was the only one qualified for that, and I had to work one Sunday a month to do that. I'd take the canceling machine apart, oil it, service it.
How long did you teach Sunday school?
15 years.
At the Nazarene Church?
Yeah.
Is that Nazarene Church here in town?
Here in town. Yeah.
Who was the pastor at that time?
Well, Reverend Homer Max.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
yeah, there's a lot of others
Yes, there was others.
Okay, well, I know you were baptized in the
Yes.
How did that happen?
I saw the need for it, and every time something like that come up, well, I'd say, Lord, if it's not you, I don't want it. If it's just for show, no. But when I was driving on the mail route out in the country, why, I felt that coming on me, and I had a hard time putting mail in the mailbox. So I was crying and tears in my eyes and so forth, speaking in tongues, and I drove fast. After I put the mail in the mailbox, I drove down the road about a half mile out of sight, just sit there and just enjoyed it.
Kind of basked in God's glory.
Oh, yes. Just praising God. Enjoying every minute of it.
Was there anything you'd like to add?
Well, there's one thing that bothers me. Like last Wednesday, nobody testified. Now, surely God's done something for the rest of the people. And back when I was going to the Nazarene Church, the evangelist, we were having testimony service, and the evangelist said, hasn't the Lord done anything for the rest of you folks? And that just stayed with me all these years. I have no idea what the guy's name was or anything, but that's why I testify of almost every church service. And you know, the more I testify, the more God begins to help me.
He's taken pretty good care of you all these years.
He has taken real good care of.
Out fishing, out trapping.
Yes. I've done everything I want to do. I have no desire to go to Washington, D.C. or to live in Omaha. No, that's not for me. I want to be here in Shenandoah or down in Texas, where I've went for 29 years. Yes.
This is Val again. It's still September 30th, 2004, and right now I'm interviewing Lee Blank, Ernie Blank's wife.
Lee, where were you born?
I was born in Shelby County, Texas, in a little community called Goober Hill, which is almost off the map now. You don't see anything except a little sign on the side of the road when you pass through, but there's a few chicken farmers back out in the woods.
Were you, was your family Christian?
I don't know. And I say that because I know that both of my grandfathers were Baptist preachers, but if I ever saw them, I don't remember. My mother died when I was 4, and my daddy was not a Christian. He wouldn't even allow us to go to church. But I believe that my mother was, and I believe that she prayed for all of us. There was 9 of us children, and I believe she prayed for us every day, because the Lord really took care of us even when we didn't know Him. There was 9 of us children. There's 2 younger than me.
So things were probably pretty tough then.
Yeah, they were. It was during the Depression to begin with, which was tough for everybody. But then we didn't, our daddy stayed gone, drunk most of the time, so we didn't have anybody to take care of us. We took care of ourselves. At that time, there was no welfare that come in and took care of homeless children like we were, but we stuck together, and the Lord provided what we had to have. It wasn't fancy, and there were a lot of meals that were skipped, but we never, any of us starved.
What led you to, at what point in your life did you accept the Lord?
Well, we moved around quite a bit, and my daddy had moved us over to out in the country, Ruby community in Pineville, out of Pineville, Louisiana, and the neighbors invited us to church during vacation Bible school. And I went, and that's when I learned about Jesus, and that's when I accepted him as my Lord. And this was a little Baptist church out there, and the church is still there. But then I went to live with my aunt and uncle when I was about 14, and they were dedicated Christians, and so I went to church all the time then. And that's where I got my roots in the Bible there. My real teachings was during this time. I was not filled with the Holy Ghost until I was about 17. And that's what made the big difference in my life, because up until that point I had not been, I can't say that it made a big difference in my life when I was saved, because I was a very shy person, and therefore I never did anything to create disharmony, because I didn't want anyone to even notice that I was around. But when I was 16, I got married, and this is when I started falling away from the Lord. But about a year later, I was filled with the Holy Ghost, and this made the big difference in my standing strong for him after that.
At 16, you were married?
Yes, at 16, I had one when I was 17.
Did you continue on going to church?
Not all that time. I tried, but a lot of times we lived where there was no church convenient for me to walk to, and we had to walk everywhere we went. And so I didn't get to go all the time, but I went as often as I could. But of course, in the wintertime, I lived in Houston during that time, and we had some pretty bad weather there, so I didn't get to go during that time.
After you accepted the Lord, of course, after you accepted, you were baptized in the Holy Spirit. That made the big difference in your life.
Yes, it gave me a boldness to talk to people. Yes, I had never been able to even talk to people before because I was so shy. But it gave me a boldness that I could speak to anyone about the Lord, and I did.
That's like just right out of the Book of Acts. You can just continue on if you want to share some more there, Lee, what the Lord has done for you in your life.
Well, he's always provided for me. There have been times when, of course, from that first marriage I was divorced in a short time because it was not a good marriage. And then I remarried about a year later, and I was married to a very, very good man then. But he was not a Christian, and I began praying for him. And one night when I was praying, the Lord said, "It will be 3 years of your testimony to bring him in." And you know that I didn't know what my testimony was because I was always talking to him about the Lord. And so the next Sunday I had prayed all that week. I said, "Lord, what do you mean by my testimony? Because I'm always talking to him about you." The next Sunday the preacher preached, and he said, "The life we live in front of a person is our biggest testimony." So that's when I sat down and started really studying the Bible to see what I needed to do and what I needed to leave off doing that I might have been doing. And 3 years almost to the day, he was saved. But he was a wonderful, wonderful person. Ernie knew him well, and you couldn't have found a better person.
Now, how did you meet Ernie?
He and Sybil used to come down there. He'd go fishing for those 3 months. He'd come down every year, and we all went to the same church. And we all became fast friends.
Is that a Nazarene church down?
No, Assembly of God.
Assembly of God.
Mm-hmm. And during all those years, I've done a lot of teaching. I taught the junior boys for a long time. And
Sunday school?
Yes, and I taught a ladies' Bible class. And I was a secretary treasurer of the church for about 5 years. And I've stayed busy, and I did a lot of cleaning in the churches. I did that. There was nothing too hard or too small or too big that I didn't tackle. Anything anyone asked me to do, I tried it. I wasn't always very successful, but I tried it.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I
forgot to ask you about the Faith Christian Fellowship. We wanted to get this in too about
Ernie, how did you come to Faith Christian Fellowship. How were you introduced to the church?
Well, I knew Mick Johnson and Dick Hunt, and so when I got dissatisfied with the Assembly of God, why, I went down there, and I found out it was a good Pentecostal church.
Would you like to comment on the church at all?
Well, it's filled every need I have.
They teach the Word of God, don't they?
They do.
Yeah. Okay.